Welcome to episode 456 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent here as always. 456. Always loved sequential numbers like that when it relates to whether it's a podcast episode or the clock. 1234, 123, all those great times. I don't know why I'm saying this. There's a tangent right out the gate for you. But let's jump into the subject at hand, which is bad marriage. Mike Fitz and Tommy Skeoch are on the podcast to talk about Bad Marriage's brand new album, Match Made in Hell. Just came out recently. It's a great album. It's their third full-length album. First one with Tommy on board. We're going to talk about how everything came together. Tommy Skeoch, of course, is an original member of Tesla. He has some solo work out there. Of course, he had his band Resist and Bite a few years ago. And now he's in Bad Marriage. And we talk about how all this came together. About Match Made in Hell. Of course, some stuff about Tesla, and of course, what's to come with Bad Marriage. But before we jump into all this with Mike and Tommy, I need to let you know who sponsors this podcast. Sunset Tattoo is a tattoo shop located in Midtown Tulsa. Their tattoos are done good and proper. They're state licensed, Native American owned, and they have a female artist on staff full time. They accept walk-ins. You can also set up a time to go in there and talk about what work you're looking to have done. They've got tons of photos on their social medias you can check out to see that they specialize in all different kinds of styles. Sunset Tattoo Tulsa on both Instagram and Facebook. I've had multiple tattoos done by Jake at Sunset Tattoo that I'm very happy with. I know many others that have as well. And in fact, there's probably been some members of a band you love that have as well. Jake has tattooed many members of some well-known rock, hard rock, heavy metal bands throughout the years as well. His shop is dedicated in celebrating the world of hard rock and heavy metal, kind of like we do here at Thunder Underground. So it's a good partnership. Very happy to have Sunset Tattoo going strong after all these years. Appreciate their support. Get in there and tell them you heard about them right here on Thunder Underground. We've also got DEB Concerts, our longest running sponsor, concert promoter based in the Tulsa area that has brought tons of great acts to the downtown area of Tulsa, such as Megadeth, Lamb of God, Saxon, Last in Line, Buckcherry, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, Great White, LA Guns, Steelheart. The list is massive and long, and it's ever growing. DEB Concerts books the Roadhouse DEB concert stage at Rocklahoma every year. That also includes the pre-party, which is included with your 3-day ticket. This year at Rocklahoma, you can check out rocklahoma.com for the full lineup, which features headliners like Slayer, Godsmack, and Papa Roach. But the DEB concert stage specifically will feature Plush, She Hates Me Not, a Van Halen tribute called Jump, 7 Foot Monkey, an Ozzy tribute called Ozzolution, Molly Hatchet, Slaughter. Hey, Mark Slaughter has been on this podcast twice, and the almighty Ugly Kid Joe. One of my favorite vocalists of all time, Whitfield Crane. One of the most underrated bands ever, for their first time at Rocklahoma here on the 20th anniversary. Super excited to be able to see Ugly Kid Joe once again. If you haven't, you're in for a treat. DEB Concerts. Hit him up at debconcerts.com to be kept up to date. And of course, we keep you up to date right here. And speaking of Rocklahoma, the Rocklahoma Bitches are back as a sponsor leading up to Rocklahoma 2026 once again. They've been an institution at Rocklahoma dating back to 2011, 15 plus years now, almost the full 20 years. I've personally been fortunate enough to make it to every Rocklahoma since 2007. I'll be out there once again this year in 2026 along with the Rocklahoma Bitches. Christy and Kendra are very supportive of the community of Rocklahoma. That's what they're out there. They're always out there hosting events at the parties that go on in the campgrounds. They've got tons of merch for Rocklahoma Bitches, t-shirts, koozies, bags, stickers. They have new stuff every single time I see them, and they will give you all this stuff at Rocklahoma for absolutely free. They don't charge for a single piece of their merch. They're always flying around the campgrounds, passing out this stuff to support Rocklahoma and support their love of the festival-going experience. They're very charitable besides just their merch. Christy always bids on the autographed guitars the Rocklahoma auctions off every year for charity, and she usually walks away with one. Rocklahoma Bitches also sponsors the Cancer Sucks benefit that happens in Tulsa every year at the end of November. to, of course, raise money for cancer that happens at the Cain's Ballroom. Rocklahoma Bitches, super excited to have them back, partnered with Thunder Underground, leading up to Rocklahoma once again. Alright, we're here in mid-April, and we've had some great episodes recently. If you missed them, just last week, Generation Radio was on here. Not as hard rocking as our normal guest, but it's still very cool to be able to say I had a former vocalist of Chicago on this podcast. Jason Sheff was on here with Jay DeMarcus of Rascal Flatts. That's something I never thought I'd say. But it was very cool. They've got this band called Generation Radio, which is very AOR, soft rockish, adult contemporary-ish, but they also throw in covers of Whitesnake and Journey and Cheap Trick and stuff like that. Great stuff. Prior to that, had on members of Dead Groove, Kings of Thrash, Defiant, 10 Ton Mojo, Drew Cagle, Axel Rudy Pell, Robin McCauley was back for the 5th time, John Corabi was back for the 2nd time. These were all episodes that happened here in the past couple months, so check those out if you missed them. Of course, there's 11 years worth of podcast you can dig through if this is your first time listening, but I'll get into all that later. But I will mention very quickly, if you came across this, say because you're a fan of Tommy and Tesla, I've had on a lot of Tesla-centric episodes throughout the years, specifically with Frank Hannon, who has been on here 4 times, or no, maybe 5 times now. 4 full episodes with Frank, and he was also on our Eddie Van Halen tribute episode that came out in 2020, which is one of my, if not my favorite, or not favorite, but most episode I'm most proud of, because it featured 14 guests all talking about Eddie Van Halen. But the point is, check out those episodes with Frank. There's also an episode with Brian Wheat from a few years ago. So I'm really glad to have Tommy on. Tesla has long been one of my top 3 or 4 favorite bands since I was a kid. It's remained that way. I've seen them live more than any other artist. Seen them live 31 times. Many of those times with Tommy, I believe. Yeah, I've probably seen him now more without Tommy than with, because by the time he left in the early 2000s, was it around 2005 or 6, I think, I was probably at 10 concerts by that point. But anyway, I've never had the opportunity to see Tommy in other capacities with his solo work or with Resist and Bite, or now with Bad Marriage. But speaking of Resist and Bite, if you're not familiar with that band, that's an album that Tommy put out about 5 years ago. It was a really cool. I really loved it. Very, it's a heavy rock, hard rock album. Great music, but I feel with what he's doing with Bad Marriage is a little more indicative of what one would expect from Tommy Skeoch. It's got more of that attitude, rock and roll, in your face, whiskey drenched, fuck you kind of attitude, which we expect from Tommy throughout the years. And this band was already built that way. So it was, I would say, a match made in heaven. Pun intended. I'm a huge fan of puns, but I should probably have kept that to myself for those of you that are out there groaning. But speaking of that, I do like the fact that a lot of Bad Marriage's stuff, a lot of times a band, when they have a name that can play into other areas, they'll release, like, say, their first album. It'll be the album title, or some song titles will coincide with that name and that kind of theme, but then they kind of drop it as they move forward. Bands like Ghost and a few other bands are a very few exception that kind of keep a theme ever evolving throughout the years. And it looks to me like, Bad Marriage at least kind of keeps the thematic titles going. Here we're on the 3rd album, Match Made in Hell. Everything works with that marriage name, and I'm glad that Tommy and this band found a marriage for them to join up together. Hopefully it, leads to bigger and better things for the band. They've been doing this now for a couple years with Tommy, and like I said earlier, first album came out in, I believe it was 2018, maybe 2019. You can check out the first 2 Bad Marriage albums. They still had that dual guitar attack, and like they talk about here in the interview, they had 3 guitars when Tommy joined before they eventually scaled it back to 2. So much cool music here from these guys. If you haven't had the chance to check out the album, it came out in March. The single, Match Made in Hell, there's a video out for it, filmed in a church. It's a really cool vibe, and the song, I absolutely love it. It's incredibly catchy. That chorus gets stuck in your head. Very much kind of has like a Saxon meets Accept vibe. old school British and German kind of driving metal. This band kind of exceeds it, like in those areas, that Motorhead area, that AC/DC-ish area, bringing all that together. And that's what the best modern bands do, is bring all their influences together and kind of create their own thing, which is what Bad Marriage has definitely been doing. So with all that being said, let's jump into this right now. Here is Tommy Skeoch and Mike Fitz, the guitarists of Bad Marriage.
This day has not started off good. All right.
Well, hopefully we're on to better for the rest of the day.
On to better pasture.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Match Made in Hell just came out a few days ago.
Hell yeah.
Is this like an exciting time, the first few days after getting something out after, waiting, it's been a few years since the last Bad Marriage album?
Yeah, we put out a few singles within that, couple year period. But yeah, we did a really, really badass video for the single Match Made in Hell. It's obviously the title track of our brand new album, but, we released that video a few weeks ago, and that kind of got everybody going, and internally our band and some of our closest fans, and then people just keep raving about it, so they're digging what we're doing, so that just gets us more excited, and we're proud of the record, so yeah, we're just riding the wave, dude, and want to keep rocking.
I love it when you do a record and you're thinking, man, this is great, I can't wait for people to hear this, and then now when you get the feedback and it's everything and more you thought it would be, man, it's very validating and awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be satisfying. And I mean, you mentioned the video. Did anyone burst into flames or ignite into fire when you guys are filming that thing?
No, man, it's all good. We just had a blast, and we thought the environment was cool. And our director, Jim Foster, he's just a man with that stuff, and he's done a lot of our Bad Marriage videos, and I think he just really nailed this one. And we just kind of put the ball in his court and let him do his thing, and came out killer, and we're all pretty psyched with it. So I think it captures the attitude, it's fun, it's heavy, it's rocking. So we're excited the way it came out, but we want everyone to buy the record now and check out all the other songs too, because we feel we got a lot of rocking tunes on there.
Do you give him like a full, what's the right word, just like full carte blanche to do the video however he wants, like based off the song? Or
but okay. If we have any ideas, he's super open to it too, but I've personally known him forever, so okay. We just kind of work very well together. He gets us, we get him, and we try not to micromanage, and he hasn't let us down yet.
Well, Mike, this is the first full album since Tommy joined. I know you had you've released 2 or 3 singles since the time he's joined, but like, what does his addition bring to like this full album to kind of set it off from the previous work of Bad Marriage?
Totally, he brings a lot. I mean, obviously, he comes from the Tesla fame, and that brings a lot. Songwriting experience. I mean, he's been there, done it. I mean, he's been at the top. So just having someone like that on our team is killer. It's just, and it brings a whole new sound to us. We had a great thing going before Tommy, and I think the addition of him. The addition of him just puts it over the top, and I still think it's tip of the iceberg stuff. I love this record, but it's just an exciting time for me and the guys. So yeah, we're embracing Tommy, and he's loving it too. So we're
me too, Mikey.
Hell yeah,
hell yeah, buddy.
Tommy, was it like, were you a fan of the band prior to joining, or was it like a thing where you were approached?
Well, no, I had heard about him. I was in my other band I was doing. I'd heard about him, and then we went and did the Monsters of Rock the cruise, and they were on there playing, and we were on there playing the band I had before Bad Marriage, and then we just I don't know, I saw them, and it was the kind of band I just felt like I really kind of band I wanted to step into and just jam, and I didn't have any idea I was gonna play with them at that time, of course. And I met Mike on the ship, and we talked some shop and just really got to know each other. And if you know Mike, you know he's very personable and easy to get along with and makes a lot of friends, man. So I'm like, I hate people and don't want to be anyone's friend. So for me to be loving this guy is like, I'm like, okay. So we became friends, and when Resist and Bite was falling apart, he was right there and just said, man, why don't you come over to our team and rock out with us, man? He sent me a song and I played over it and seemed like everyone dug it. And then I went there and we rubbed socks, as they say, and it was on until the break of dawn.
That's right.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Like, obviously, you know, Mike, you had heard, you know, tons of Tommy's work from throughout the years with Tesla and everything. But like, Tommy, when you first joined, like how instant was like the meshing of your guitar styles together with Mike?
Oh, instantly. Yeah. We were talking in an interview yesterday and Mike said it pretty good. Like into the first song we jammed, we just knew that it was on. And that's when we had 3 guitars. When I stepped in, there was 2 guitar players already in this band. So we did this 3 guitar thing and it was pretty fucking massive, I gotta say. And I loved it even back then. But I will say, the way it is now with just the 2 guitars, it's much more focused and better that way, I think. But we had fun with it, and it was instant. Yeah, just great. And I think we all knew that it was going to be good, and we went for it.
Well, Mike, you know, being a lead guitarist yourself, like how easy is it to bring in another accomplished lead guitarist and kind of like give up at times parts of what you're doing, or is that more of a what's best for the song type thing?
Yeah, well, I think you nailed it right there. It is what's best for the song. But, you know, I never considered myself a lead guitarist. I just kind of assumed the role. You know, I was, you know, I'm not a shredder, as they say. I'm more of a riff guy. You know, I'm a Malcolm Young, Tony Iommi type, you know, Jimmy Page. I love the big, chunky, memorable riffs, and I enjoy writing that stuff. So to have Tommy come in and help me with the lead stuff and take some of that off of my shoulders is killer, because you know he does his own thing and he's just super cranky. His tone is cranky. It's hard to explain, but he's just got a vibe and you know, some magic that it's just not my thing, and that's what I think brings Bad Marriage to another level. You know,
the leads are definitely. You know, it's different that way. And I'm playing lead on most of the record. Mike does a couple little things here and there, but I feel grateful that I did that. And I love it, man, because it just has a personality. And I really have been playing lately, like with a band, and not really trying not to obsess on the shit too much. If there's a couple of weird things, just kind of go with it and live with it. And you'll find that it's all good. Yeah.
Well, were the songs on Match Made in Hell, like, did they exist before you joined Tommy, or were they songs that were written like once Tommy joined?
Yeah, you know, we you know, I do all the recording here.
Okay.
I do the recording, mixing, mastering. You know, it's kind of my thing, and I really enjoy doing it. So, you know, I'd started working on this record at least a year or so before, you know, Tommy had joined the band. So a big chunk of it was done. You know, a lot of the riffs were there. The foundation was there. You know, obviously we had to go back into some songs and let Tommy work his magic on those songs, but we also got to write some from scratch with him, which was very cool. And, you know, another song, Rock and Roll Mofo, on there. You know, that was Tommy's old song from one of his solo albums, and we kind of rehashed that, put our own spin on it, and brought that one back to life. And you know, another one, Rock and Roll Alien, Tommy had all the music for, but you know, we just wrote the lyrics and the vocal melodies for it. So yeah, it's been great, but it's been a little mix and hodgepodge of stuff, but you know, stuff we already had written, and then stuff we took from Tommy's catalog, and then stuff we wrote on you know, as a team. And so
we had so much fucking fun, man.
Yeah,
we had fun doing all that shit.
Totally, dude. Totally.
Well, Tommy, when you went in and like say you're putting solos on a song that already existed, does that give you as much pleasure as like building a song from scratch? Like kind of put your stamp on someone else's?
I see what you're saying, and yeah, it did, because you know I'm playing lead on it. Those songs I didn't play. Some of those songs I went back and did a rhythm track, but most of the songs that he had, I didn't really even do a rhythm track. I would just do a lead track. So on a few of those songs, that's how it is. But yeah, I put my stamp on it pretty good, and I feel artistically satisfied. Yeah. Yep.
And I guess Mike, is the idea moving forward to like have it be a collective thing with you and Tommy, or is it like the full band writing, or has it mainly been you, Mike, previous to Tommy joining?
Yeah, well, it starts with me. Again, I have the studio here.
Yeah.
I am a big writer. I love, writing riffs and putting them together,
And I do too. Yeah.
yeah. So like I usually start a lot of stuff here, and then I send the ideas out to the guys to kind of get familiar with it. And then since Tommy's joined the band, he likes to do the same thing, which can only help. The more the merrier. As far as ideas, and it's just we're always bouncing ideas off each other with me and Tommy. But the foundation is pretty much started here in the studio, and then we just kind of build from there.
Well, Mike, being producer of your own band, are you giving the other guys like direction on the instruments and the playing, or is it more just like a technical aspect as a producer?
No, sometimes for sure. I like to let everyone do their thing, to a point. But it's a song by song thing, like Todd, our bass player, he records his bass at his house, and just sends them to me because he just knows what he's doing. I very rarely have to produce that. You know what I mean? He's the guy. He knows what he's doing. Me and Johnny, our singer, we spend a lot of time on vocals and try and get things to where we're both happy with, vocal melodies and lyrics. And again, for the best of the song, I've been
I don't take orders well when we're doing that, and I just tell them to fuck off and do
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do. That's my thing right there.
Yeah, Tommy's lucky he's pretty good guitar player because I just let him.
Oh, you're being kind. That's
I kind of just let him do what he does. But I've admonished him plenty of times that when he's not playing good.
And I'll tell you what, man, I have been around, but I listen to Mike. He's got a good ear, and it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, Tommy. Having worked with tons of producers throughout the years, what's the dynamic like with Mike?
Yeah, there's some stuff engineering wise I want to yell at him about, but I'm not a great engineer. I'm not an engineer myself. So, but I get, so I yell at him. But no, man, he's really quite talented, man. That's another thing that drew me into this band. Really, was them, the singer Johnny, he had so much mystique, and they were just like rats in the gutter, man. It was just pretty badass. So, yeah, and Mike, he does a lot, and it shows, and he's good. So I was impressed.
At the end of the day, me and Tommy are just two knucklehead guitar players, and I had to teach myself recording, so I didn't have to go to all these studios and pay top dollar because growing up in bands trying to make it, we didn't have a ton of money. So I finally I bit the bullet and bought a bunch of recording gear and taught myself, and I had some friends that were into recording, so I would ask them a bunch of stuff, but I'm always learning with that stuff, but
most important, he had a good ear, man. Your ear, he's got a good ear.
Yeah, but, I'm a tone freak as far as guitar, so I think that translates a lot into recording too. You want your stuff to sound good.
Well, you mentioned Johnny a couple minutes ago, and man, that guy's voice, it's like somewhere between Bon Scott and Biff Byford.
It's a trip, man. I know.
Yeah, I mean, like at times I'm like, holy shit, is this Biff Byford? And then you guys did that cover of Denim and Leather, and it's like, but at times it sounds nothing like Biff Byford, which is the coolest part about his voice,
Well, you got to keep in mind, Mike's singing a couple of songs lead on this record, and a couple of the songs they're doing actually a duet, going in and out and singing,
right,
like Rock and Roll Alien and Chokin'. If you listen to those, and then other one, a couple of like Penny Man, Mike's singing lead on that. So there's that aspect too. If you're listening to it, it's not all Johnny on the leads,
right? But like Johnny is that Bon
He's
Scott.
The man. Oh, no doubt about it.
Johnny does bring that Bon Scott mixed with Dio, mixed with Biff from Saxon. He's got that like British metal / rock, just epicness to him, and that was our Bad Marriage sound for a while, and we're just now kind of working me in a little bit to kind of just change things up a little bit with some songs and mesh me in my vocals with Johnny, and people are digging it. So, it's been pretty fun. I mean, never considered myself a singer, or never mind that, lead singer, but I'm having fun with it, and it's working. So we're just kind of just excited about just creating new stuff.
Have you done that live?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
play
I
those
mean,
songs live where you're singing lead?
yeah, like we played this song on there called the Pennyman Live, and that's me, that's my vocals on there. I'm on the lead there, and so we've been messing with that. Again, it's a new thing for me, so I'm a little out of my comfort zone, but once we kick into it, it's just
I'm on the lead over there.
hey,
Hey.
no, it's cool, man. I'm having fun with it, and Johnny's there, right there with me, helping me, so it's been fun.
But Tommy, you mentioned the song "Choking," and that's probably my favorite song on this album.
Cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Just side note, "Victims" is also really good, and I like how it kind of like it has a totally different feel from the songs before. Is that kind of why it was placed towards the end of the album?
I don't know about that. You might have to speak to Mike. I didn't really put that together.
Yeah, no, I think what is that towards the middle? God, I don't.
I think "Victims" is the final song on the album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Victims is me too. That's just me singing that one too. Choking is cool because me and Johnny kind of trade lines, and it's if you it was a newer thing for us. But no, we just all kind of placed the songs where we thought they would go in order, and just it would flow and sound cool and sound right and
Right.
cool to the listener, and that's just kind of where it fell. But I'm glad people like that song. The cool thing about this record is we've been getting a lot of feedback from our friends and our fans, and they all seem to like different songs. And to me, that is literally the best thing. We're not a band that just writes for a single and, have one or two songs and the other, 10 of them be, just watered down, just garbage. We really spent a lot of time on all of the songs, and hearing people say, "Oh, I like this one," and then other people, saying other ones is fucking awesome.
And what's really great is when they say little insights about them that, we've talked about maybe when we're recording it and stuff like that, man. It's just an awesome feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of live shows, I've been doing this podcast 11 years, and
Oh, congrats.
throughout that time, one of the bands that's been with me throughout most of that time on this podcast several times is Midnight Devils.
Oh, no way.
You
We
guys
love
just
those
finished
guys.
this tour with them, so like what what was that experience like touring with these guys? They pretty much like live that lifestyle to its fullest.
Yeah, and that's a lot. Hats off and a lot of respect to those guys, because they do it. They pound
They
the
pound
pavement.
it, man.
They pound the pavement, and they truly live for rock and roll. And I think they'll agree with us. With the same goes for us, and we really hit it off on that last tour we did. And they're just a great group of guys. That just same thing with us. Just wanna rock, and they're just a great group of guys and play some killer music, and they're super fun. They're high energy. So the shows went really well, which was awesome.
Does touring, like as you get older, have the same feeling it did 20, 30 years ago? Because it's like as you get older, your mindset's more like, hey, I just want to go to bed.
It can hurt a little bit. It hurts a little bit, but for me, it overrides the rock, like Mike was talking about. Just overrides everything, man. This last tour, I was having a little bit of pain, but fuck, I'm 64 years old. I've done a lot of fucked up shit to my body, man. So I'm just grateful. I'm still making music, that I'm still alive, and it puts the hurts to me a little bit, but I ain't gonna stop,
Yeah, and for me, I haven't been touring or anything as much as Tommy, but we've done a lot of touring in Bad Marriage, and you learn from it, and it is a different mindset as you get older. But I actually love that challenge, going out and trying to meet new fans, and just sell a bunch of merch and just get as many people on board and just to listen to you. And I think you take it more serious too when you're older. You play better, you're more focused.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so it's definitely, it's good. It can be more rewarding, actually.
Mike, did you learn anything from Tommy like early on when he first joined, just like from his experience?
Yeah,
big one.
it's not like he would sit me down and teach me,
Right.
but I learned just from watching and listening to him, and just I pick up on things. I've always been like that. I've sat with producers and engineers and sound guys and guitar players, and so Tommy falls into that category where I'll just like a sponge. I like to absorb stuff and pick their brain, and ask questions. I definitely ask a lot of questions, and people might get a little annoyed with that, but that's my way of prying a little bit and learning what I can. And yeah, so he's a wealth of knowledge, whether he knows it or not. And I've learned a lot from him. So, yeah.
Well,
Hell
speaking of live shows, I saw you guys are on the Mountain Festival in August. It's kind of cool because I mean, you guys are one of only a few handful of bands that are modern bands on that bill.
right.
I also noticed you guys are on 2 days. Is that a misprint or
No,
no?
No,
Okay.
that's funny because you're not the first, but
that's
we
rock
played.
and roll, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we played twice last time too, which was
Okay.
I think the Mountain Festival. This is going to be our third time on that festival. So,
Oh, nice. Okay.
yeah, so we played twice the last time we played it too, which is really cool because number one, yeah, Tommy's, obviously comes from Tesla, but Bad Marriage as a unit is an original upcoming band. We were a band for almost 10 years without Tommy. So we were trying to establish ourselves as an original band. And it's, as everyone knows, it's not that easy today to do. So to be on those, to be selected for those sort of things like the Mountain Festival, again, this is going to be our third one. We've played two of the Monsters of Rock cruise. For them to include a band like us that's kicking and clawing and scratching our way to try with all these legacy bands that have been there and that are just super huge, and it's just we're fortunate, we're very lucky to be a part of that, but we also think we deserve to be there, and I don't think they would have us back. This is a third time, and hopefully we can get on another cruise, so I think we're doing some good things, and we just got to keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, that's a cool dynamic because, most of the crowd, whether they are a fan of one of those other bands or not, know their songs just because they're ingrained in classic rock radio.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, here's a band that I'm not familiar with. And it's like one of the only few bands that they're getting that experience of on the entire lineup.
Right, which can be tough, but that's a challenge we like because everyone's used to hearing, they want to hear what they want to hear, which are the old legacy bands, which I want to hear that shit too. I'm the same. I'm one of those people. But I know a good band when I hear them, and I love giving that credit where it's due. And I find new bands all the time from that kind of stuff, and we just hope that people listen to us, that give us a chance. And whether it's, this is Tommy from Tesla's new band, let's go check them out. Hey man, the more the merrier. If that gets a couple ears and new eyes and ears on us, then hopefully we do it justice, and we get some new fans.
Speaking of, nostalgia and Tesla, I got to ask one question, Tommy. One of my favorite songs of all time is Shine Away.
Yeah.
I know that was one of your tracks, and I've had Frank Hannon on the podcast before and we talked about it. And I just kind of wonder, whenever you're writing a song like that with this massive dual guitar solo at the end, is that written ahead of time, or is that an in the studio kind of spontaneous thing?
Let me think. That song, well, Frank wrote pieces of that song as well, number one, and he did a lot more of the leads on that song than I did, but I had a lot to do with the intro and the verse. It's a pretty epic song. There's a lot of interconnecting parts. And no, if I remember correctly, I think I wrote that kind of epic intro thing that's on there, which I just love. It's just wicked as fuck. And Jeff took to it, all is well, all that shit. And then some of the verse stuff, and then Frank had the choruses. And then, I think he knew he was going to do the leads at the end, and it just flowed like a lot of the other songs, really, although there was a bit more to it because of that intro was pretty kind of epic. So if that's just my memory of it, but it wasn't like me and Frank never talked about stuff. We just did it. You know what I mean? We never really worked a lot of stuff out. I mean, a couple of things here and there, a couple of harmonies, but for the most part, man, we just jammed, man. And he did one thing, I did another. We tried to make it kind of bounce off each other, and let it flow. And that's kind of what I've always done, really. So there it is.
Yeah, I love that song too, dude. That's one of my faves.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just wildly underrated. That entire album.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
One other side note is what's the status on your band Terminal?
We're writing the record and having fun, and Josie's in there singing. Sounds really good, and it's going to be fun.
I mean, is there any kind of like timetable on when we can expect music?
No, there's nothing I could say about it just because I just don't know. We're putting music together and having fun right now.
Gotcha.
That's it. Yep.
Very cool. I would take both of you just not knowing, but I would expect both of you are probably Motorhead fans, and we just lost Phil Campbell being a guitarist.
Yeah.
Like, kind of what are your thoughts on, Phil Campbell and like that loss to the world?
Yeah, dude. I mean, when anyone ever leaves us like that, it sucks. I'm believe it or not, I'm somewhat of a late bloomer on Motorhead, and I've been over the past our old guitar player Ian, I must say, is always pushing Motorhead on me, and I finally I'm like dived in because they have a lot of material, and I just love it now, and I'm cranking it all the time. I'm always rocking Motorhead shirts and sweatshirts, and Tommy is too. They're just, they're one of those bands that were just road dogs, and like we mentioned, the Midnight Devils and our friends in Enough's Enough. I know this, it's a different sounding dynamic, but I love the bands that just, constantly and consistently tour and just do it, and it's just for the love of rock. So yeah, obviously losing someone like that is a huge deal, and
for me, I just like knowing Chris Holmes now. They were really tight friends. I don't know if you guys knew that, but so Chris, we talk about him quite a bit. Yeah,
crazy. Now, I don't know what it was, but I read something. It was a complicated surgery that I don't know. That's all that I could find.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's what I read too.
So yeah, it's unfortunate, dude, and can only hope that he lives on, and rock and roll dudes can carry the torch. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's the great part about guys like him and Ozzy and Ace Frehley. We're gonna have their music lives forever. Yeah.
That's the great thing about music, really, is being a musician. I love that because I feel like I'll just be alive forever. It's kind of like
yeah.
And like you said about Ace Frehley, now we're playing a couple shows in early April with his band. So they're trying to carry on and do a nice tribute, and we're just happy to be a part of the bill. So that's another one that just gone too early.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but I love that the band's still rocking and they're carrying on his legacy. So we're excited to be rocking with them.
So when you guys play with them, are you going to throw in any like a Kiss song or no?
Us, no, because they'll be doing.
They'll be doing plenty.
A few of the shows we're playing with Chris Jericho's Kiss tribute called Quarantine.
Oh, okay.
So they're doing. I think that they do the Kiss years that they don't have the makeup on.
Yeah.
And then obviously Ace Frehley's band is doing that stuff. So now we're gonna do Bad Marriage stuff. We do throw in. We'll throw in a Tesla song to wake everybody back up if we have to, but
yeah. Have you guys played any Tesla songs?
Yeah, we do. We messed with a few. Tommy, when he first joined, we were already doing. I think we were doing Little Susie, or that's the first one we were doing, just because it's super fun, it's super catchy. A lot of people sing along to it. And then, Tommy, one of the ones he had a big part in writing off of the first record is Rock Me to the Top. And so we've been doing that one too. And people really, the diehard, hardcore Tesla fans really enjoy that one. And it's just such a fun song to play. And yeah, those are the two that we mess with. And, we've talked about more, but at the end of the day, it's about Bad Marriage, and we're trying to brand Bad Marriage, and we're not overthinking Tesla songs too much.
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, these shows with the Ace Frehley Band and all that stuff coming up. What else can we expect throughout 2026?
Yeah, I mean, we have some stuff in the works. We're just waiting for it to be, finalized. So, I wish I could say more.
We want to waylay the whole, at least the USA, man. Get everywhere we can go. We're really working towards that goal this year. So hopefully we can get some places.
Yeah. So some things are on the radar. We're just hoping that they all come through. And, yeah, we got 4 shows in April, and we're just going to go from there. And
Very
then,
cool.
obviously the big mountain festival. I mean, we're looking forward to that. So yeah, we're excited.
But we can expect a lot more dates to be added, is what you're
That's
saying?
the
Yeah.
plan. That is the plan.
I would assume we can look forward to another video coming from the album at some point.
Yeah,
Hell
that's also the plan. Whatever we choose for the next single, and it's a good problem to have because we're not sure which one. We're not sure which one yet. Like I said, we like all the tunes on the record, so yeah, we're looking forward to that as well. So we're gonna keep pushing.
Right on, guys. Well, I'm absolutely loving this album, and I appreciate you taking the time with me today.
All right, appreciate you, buddy.
Man, thanks for that, man. Thank you.
There you go, Mike Fitz and Tommy Skio of the band Bad Marriage. A huge thank you to Jody Best of Best Bet Promotions for her continuing and unwavering support of this podcast throughout these past 11 years. And of course, a massive thank you to Tommy and Mike for taking some time out there to talk to me about Bad Marriage's brand new album, Match Made in Hell, that came out last month. Previous Bad Marriage stuff, future Bad Marriage stuff, Tesla stuff, Motorhead stuff, you heard it all right there. Check out Match Made in Hell if you had not yet. Like we've said a few times, it came out last month, and it is a fantastic album. You can check it out pretty much everywhere that albums stream. You can also buy this shit. You can buy physical copies. That's a great way to support your favorite musicians. I haven't said that in a while. I used to say it all the time, but when you're at a live show, especially, anything, even if it's as small as a koozie, a lot of bands that aren't at the level of playing arenas, this is their lifeblood, and they're not making much music on stream, on their actual music, like in the old days, since streaming outlets pay very little per stream, and most people don't buy physical music anymore. But if you buy a t-shirt, a koozie, a sticker, a pin, a hat, autograph poster, any of that stuff, and of course, a lot of bands sell vinyl, CDs, cassettes now, and everything that you can check out, whether it be at the show or on their band website or on the label's website or, of course, Amazon, wherever. It doesn't matter. If you love a band, buy the vinyl. Even if you don't collect vinyl and have a record player, you absolutely love this band, buy the vinyl when you go see them live, get them to sign it. How cool is that? But yeah, support your artists when you see them live. And if you get a chance to see Bad Marriage, or if you have before, throw it in the comments what this band's like live. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to check them out. Absolutely love what I've heard from Bad Marriage, and glad to get Mike on here to talk about it. And of course, like I mentioned up front, glad to get Tommy on here as well. Third member of Tesla that's been on this podcast. Third original member. So I just have Troy Lucetta and Jeff Keith left to go. If this is your first time listening, there's 11 years, 455 episodes previous to this you can check out. And like I said up front, several of those being Tesla. Frank Hanen's been on here 4 times. He was also on the Eddie Van Halen tribute episode 292. I implore you to check that out if you're a fan of Eddie Van Halen. It doesn't get much cooler than hearing 14 hard rock and heavy metal musicians talk about Eddie. Brian Wheat was also on the podcast. We spoke about sax in there. Biff Byford was on the podcast a few years ago. Also, Brian Tatler, who's been the guitarist in Saxon now for a few years, the voice behind the mighty Diamond Head. I've had on Glenn Hughes several times, which is completely amazing to be able to say. Michael Monroe from Hanoi Rocks. John Waite. How wild is that? Dean Castronovo of Journey. And of course, that band with John Waite called Bad English at one point. I've also had on members of Motley Crue, Megadeth, Testament, Twisted Sister, Queensryche, Clutch, Corrosion of Conformity, Seven Dust, Saliva, Whitesnake, LA Guns, Trapped, Breaking Benjamin, Hellstorm, Gene Simmons of Kiss, Bruce Kulick, formerly of Kiss and Grand Funk Railroad, Ricky Medlock of Lynyrd Skynyrd, Vernon Reid and Corey Glover of Living Colour. The list is extremely massive, and it's extremely long. 11 years worth of podcasts, like I already said. You can dig back through there. You can listen to everything directly at the website, thethunderunderground.com. You can find all the socials there as well. Anytime you see a post on a social, if you just like or comment on it or share it, that's a massive easy way to help out this podcast. It spreads it around and gets it into other people's algorithms as well. Wherever you're listening right now, whether it be Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, SoundCloud, wherever it's at, hit subscribe. Also leave a review. That's also a great way to help. If you follow on all those socials like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Threads, whatever it may be, there is daily content that comes out from this podcast separate from these episodes. So it's never ending. You've got all kinds of stuff you can check out, like, share. I greatly appreciate it. Upcoming episodes. I've got a few that are in the works, but they aren't officially recorded yet, so I don't announce them. I've got one scheduled to record with a member of one of my all-time favorite bands here in just a couple days, so hopefully that comes to fruition. And also Jason, my original co-host, will be coming back to record a couple episodes with me for May, so hopefully I get those done as well. Looking forward to seeing what's coming here for the rest of 2026. All right, once again, a massive thank you to DEB Concerts, Rocklahoma Bitches, Sunset Tattoo, Best Bet Promotions, and of course Tommy and Mike of Bad Marriage. And until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.